Hi to our new guests. My name is Cheryl. I'm the director of Suitcase Stories. We're just waiting for everyone to get logged on this morning. Hope you have your coffee, your tea, have a good brunch. Some people are using the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen to share how people learned about Suitcase Stories. Mahboba, how did you first hear about it? Someone reached out to you, correct?
Yes, so my school inside New Hampshire University, I was participating in a lot of panels and stuff, and of course I was famous in there. I'm just joking. And then they reached out to me if I wanted to share my story, and then that's how I got connected with you, and the rest is the history.
Here we are, 2 years later. Yeah, I remember meeting you in the lobby and having a good chat together. All right, just a few more folks. Hello to all of our guests, Tina, Susan, Diana, everybody. Hope you're well today. We appreciate you signing on. We know there's so many things happening virtually online, concerts, storytelling, sports. I mean, it's been really fun to connect and talk about things of interest to each other. We've actually been thinking about doing a Suitcase Stories virtual program for a while, and so during these times, seemed like a great time to launch it. All right, well, why don't I get going? And that Q&A feature, we actually encourage you to use it throughout the conversation. This is going to be about 30 minutes, and we have a facilitator, my colleague Kate O'Neill, who's our marketing director. She's going to be following the questions, and about every 10 minutes, she's going to jump in and ask Mahboba what you're all interested in. So please, if you have any questions about Mahboba or Suitcase Stories or even the Institute, we really welcome you to take this opportunity to ask those of us. It seems like most people on this list probably know the Institute, but if you're new to us, we're a nonprofit who assists about 2,500 refugees and immigrants annually, providing refugee resettlement, English instruction, employment, legal services, and also raising the voices of refugees and immigrants through Suitcase Stories. Some people have been asking, like, how is that working right now with the stay-at-home measures? And I'm really proud to say the team is working harder than ever. We just did some analysis about how much work we've been doing, and we've actually done 1,200 touch points with people virtually on our education side, employment. We've done 435 wellness checks with all of our clients up to the last 5 years. We know that they're among the most vulnerable, so I just want to give a shout out to our staff that are on this call. Thank you for what you're doing. And thanks to our suitcase tellers who want to use this opportunity to connect with people as well. So, and that's you, Mahboba. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Mahboba, would you just introduce yourself to people who don't know who you are?
Yes, my name is Mahboba Akhartarzadah. I grew up in Afghanistan, and I went to school in Afghanistan to high school, and then I came to the United States in 2013 with full scholarship. I majored in IT, and my minor is leadership. And I finished my university in 2018. I worked with the university for a year, and then I moved to DC from New Hampshire. Actually, I was in New Hampshire for 6 years, and now I live in DC. And of course, I have different hobbies and different fun things that I do. One is the storytelling, writing, sometimes traveling, and photography is also my hobby too.
Do you want to be our DC correspondent? What's happening down there? Are you also remaining at home? What does it look like from DC?
Similar to the rest of the country, we all stay at home. We work from home, and we try to stay inside as much as possible to avoid this virus and also help others. So yeah, we are same as others.
Yeah. How are you keeping yourself busy? I'm reading a lot of books, I find.
So I talk to my family a lot because I used to not give them time. I do find taking some classes online for my IT skills. I started a certificate that I'm trying to get a certificate online. It's called A+, which is more for IT, and also doing Amazon, Amazon stuff too. So which is like you learn and then you get a certificate if you want. If not, you don't have to. It's free website, and it's all the classes are free. So I'm doing that and reading books, talking with my friends a lot through phone.
Yeah, I mean, this is all really hard, but I agree. One of the things that I'm trying to appreciate is I've talked to my good friends longer than I'm usually able to, and I'm trying to figure out when this condition changes how I'll be able to maintain the depth of conversations and time. So I appreciate that. Now, you're the only person, though, from your family in the U.S. Is that correct?
Yes, that's true.
So what is happening in Afghanistan right now? What are you hearing from the friends and family there?
Well, in America, like most people are educated, which I mean, they can read and write and all those things. In Afghanistan, they are not. It's really hard, first of all, to tell them this virus is real. They think it's not real. And second of all, the reading and writing is a huge issue. So everything should be told to them, and you have to show them. It's a very challenge. And it's a tradition, and like Islamic country, they believe in certain religion things, and they are like, oh, God will save us and all those things. And access having to like clean water and soap and all those things is very difficult. So people are challenged, they are challenged under challenge, but people who have more information and healthcare, they are really talking to these people and telling them to take it serious. Actually, we had none in Afghanistan, but because Iran is not treating Afghans, unfortunately, then they have to come to Afghanistan, and then they are bringing the virus with them, and we don't have that many good facilities, but people are trying to avoid and stay inside.
That's good. I'm glad that you're able to share what you've learned here with your family at the very least. You mentioned obviously from the beginning, and I know this, that technology is really interesting to you. How did you come to be interested in technology?
Given my life, which is huge. In Afghanistan, I had, I have polio and I'm in wheelchair. So it was very hard for me to travel to different places to learn English or learn some other, subjects that I wanted to focus. And then one of my friends who is from Chicago used to work in Afghanistan. She bought me a computer, and it really opened the world to me. So that's when I got interested, and I say I want to be the person who is working with computer. First, changed my life. Second, it gave me so many opportunities and kind of opened the whole world to me.
I think a lot of people are feeling that way right now. If we didn't have technology, this would be thousands of times harder. I mean, just even this opportunity to talk to you today. So for people, I realize we didn't say you have polio, so they may not see that you're in a chair. But your story highlights how polio affected your life. Can you briefly, for people who didn't get to see you perform, just tell a little bit about your story for them?
Sure. When I grew up, like as anybody, I wanted to get education, which is a very basic right. And you will be surprised when you say, I want to get education, you'll be like, just go to school. But in my case, it was not that case. I had to really fight for getting education. First, I was a woman, and second, I was disabled, a person that has no value in Afghanistan, and then me getting up, speaking up, and trying to go to school. So I started going to school in 2002. I started going to school, but I continue walking to school with my crutches every day back and forth. And I get to the point that I kind of gave up. I stay home. That's when my father steps in, and he helped me through going to school. And he took me to school every day back and forth by bicycle. And there was a lot of challenges. In school, I was not supported because they were telling me, now you can read and write and you don't have to come to school. But my dream was bigger than that, because I didn't just wanted to stay home, and I wanted to be independent. I want to have a very good life, and I believe that was only possible to get education, and I had to really fight for it.
Yeah, in your story, there's several points where you're talking about that evolution of being told by teachers and principals, your father's friends, like why waste, even to your father, like why waste your daughter on education fees? I mean, she's not going to accomplish anything. There were so many times you mentioned that you just were near people, hearing them say these things. How did that make you feel initially?
It would make me really sad and disappointed, but in the end of the day, I knew how I was, and I knew who I was, and I knew my ability, and I knew if I go to school, get education, and don't give up, tomorrow will be so many other Mahboubas, so many other women that will not suffer. So when I finished, and well, yes, people were telling me, you should be ashamed, you walk funny, you shouldn't come to school, your father cannot feed you. And I was like, I'm not coming to here to have food, I'm coming to get education. But that was kind of, just shaming me in different ways just to give up. But in the end of the day, what made me really happy that I learned something. There was some people that really supported me, like my father and some of my friends, and that was really making me to keep going.
Yeah. When you actually graduated, did any of those teachers or principals or people say something affirming of that? Like
they
positive?
were surprised, very surprised, even though they did not. Well, I had to. My class after ninth grade, they are changing your classes because your upper level from downstairs to upstairs. So there was 2 floors in my school, so they had to change my school from upstairs to from downstairs to upstairs. Sorry, and then. When I asked them, can you please bring my class downstairs because I cannot climb the stairs, they clearly said no. And that was including my principal, my teachers, and person who was in charge of our department. And when I made it through that stairs every day, back and forth, climbing with my crutches, one by one, there were 30 stairs because I counted, and I did that for 5 years. And seeing me that I did that, and even though they created so many distraction for me, I did not give up. They finally realized that we shouldn't treat them this bad. And after me, there was a couple disabled women that they came to that school, and I think they got really good support because I did not give up.
Yeah. I mean, no question. I'm going to remind people, if you have questions for Mahboba, please feel free to type those in. We'll try to get to them. Mahboba, we've talked about this a lot. That is the scene in your story that I will never forget for a couple of reasons. When we talk about storytelling, when I'm working with someone on a Suitcase Stories, sometimes people come to me and they have an idea of a story, but it's like a summary. And I really encourage people to show me what you mean when you say things were hard, or show me what it means to celebrate. And Mahboba, I remember the moment you looked at me and you said, oh, you mean like how I had to pull myself up 30 stairs every day? And I was like, yes, Mahboba, that's what I mean. Because when I can see that, I can see perseverance. I can see your everything about your drive and your ambitions. And for me, it doesn't matter if you have polio or anything. All of us have challenges, but it becomes a metaphor. So I will never forget that scene from your piece.
Charlie, we have a question.
Oh, great. Crisco, right?
Yes.
Have you been able to encourage others who experience the same negativity when it comes to seeking education?
I was just talking to Cheryl this morning that one of my cousins having such a hard time with family to convince to let them go to university, and she's very smart. She knows a lot, and she really want to go into medical, but she's not allowed to go to university. And then I was telling her how to talk to the family, not making them upset, but telling them that what is exactly your dream and what you want to achieve and who you want to be. You don't want to shame family. You want to get education, and because you want to go into medical tomorrow, her sister or someone else can get sick or get, need medical attention. So she will be the one taking care of them. Going to, like in a tradition culture in Afghanistan, it's not a good sign to go to a man doctor, and they want a woman doctor. So if they don't let their daughter to get education as a woman, then who is going to treat when their women are getting sick? So I was just talking to my cousin, and yes, lots of people that in my life. I change their lives, and I talk about the bad experience and making it positive, starting from my family. And even in America, some of my friends complaining about very, very small thing. I'm like, you complain about not having a notebook? Come on, there is like, you can just grab a paper and write in it. So like so many people I was talking to them in different ways.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things Suitcase Stories has done for a lot of us. It keeps things in perspective. I mean, even during times like this. So I agree with you. We have a question about, what are your ultimate career aspirations? What do you want to do?
I am still trying to figure out, as I said, I graduated from IT, anything in IT field, and later on, because it's really hard to work with security if you're not citizen. I'm not citizen, American citizen. So once I get my citizenship, if I get my citizenship, then I will go to security and anything with computers, such as, starting from help desk to anything supporting, and all those things will be my career. And I see myself as a good leader, and I definitely want to keep up with my speeches because I think I could be effective.
Actually, that's a good question. When I first met you, you had done a lot of speeches and a lot of interviews about your education, your dreams, polio. How has it been telling a story versus doing a speech? What have you learned, or how has that experience felt? Were you nervous the first time, or?
Story is my life story, who I am, what I was made of, what was my challenge. Speech is about like a specific topic. For example, polio, women's rights, education, being an Afghan woman, being inspiration. That is a specific speech that I had to give. And I'm a package, I have disability, I'm brown, I'm Muslim, I'm woman, I speak up, so I'm in trouble. But storytelling is my story, who I was, what I am.
Yeah. And you did it very well. Mahboba and I actually had for me, an enlightening experience. For her, it was too traditional in that we had picked a venue for her to perform at, along with the other people, with it being told it was ADA. And it turns out it is if you're a guest and an audience member. But when we went to have Mahboba practice, it turns out there was no way to get her up on the stage. And we were trying to figure out how, and we asked the venue, they said, oh, you need to go out back onto the street, go around the block, and then there's a door in the back that you can get over, which itself even had like a hump. So I'm like out there reeling Mahboba, and Mahboba, I remember saying to you, is like, it was shocking to me that that's what your life had to be like. And you were saying, oh no, I deal with this often. What has been your experience having to navigate here in the United States? I mean, we knew in Afghanistan it was hard for you, but I think you expected it to be in some ways even easier than it has been.
So yeah, back to you, what you say. I'm glad there was something that I at least could go, so I don't have to like wrap myself up, like at least there was a door. It doesn't matter if I had to go from the back door or the front door. But accessibility wise, in New Hampshire, it was a little bit challenging because it's not a big city, but in DC, it is wonderful. The metro is accessible, outside is accessible. But it doesn't mean I'm not suffering from, discrimination and not having an accessible place. Like, for example, I cannot apply really for a smaller companies because I'm worried about not having an office that is accessible more, even though they are required by the law, they have to have it. But they're like, oh, we are, 15 people of companies. So those are some challenges when I apply, for example, the reason I'm saying because I just faced this, I applied for a job. It was really good job. And when I look at the map, the office was not accessible. So I asked, like, oh, we are very small, but like now it's more challenging for me. I have to choose bigger companies, more accessible. I have to look at their buildings, even though it's required by the law, but it's still a challenge and lots of work to be done to really make it accessible. But I'm very happy, it's a lot better than like what I used to have, but still everywhere, nothing is perfect.
You said some people have misunderstandings about people with polio. What are some of the things you say to people when they ask you or say things that you think are misunderstood?
Some of the things that are people misunderstood, I'm trying to think which one I should say, is if I can give them polio, if it's, if they sit next to me, will they get polio? But like lack of education is a lot about polio because it's not a thing anymore. I don't blame them. It's about, in America and majority of countries in the world, it's not a thing anymore. But yet in Afghanistan and Pakistan, we still have it and we are suffering from it. And I am the example of it. So it's lack of education. That's one of the things. And I'm trying to educate people. I don't mind if someone asking me, I definitely can explain.
Mm-hmm. What have you learned as you've been becoming more of a storyteller? And do you think you'll do more of it?
Yes. What did I learn was how much people need to hear our story. And we are not, for example, generally speaking, we are not coming to America to have like a luxury life. We are coming here to survive. And when you come to America, for people who are from different countries attending here, if coming to America is just 20% of your work that you have done, 80% of work you have to do in here to get where you want to get. Getting education, knowing the culture, the system is super different. Even from Europe, it is very different. Navigating your ways, creating goals, learning English. Like me, I had no English. I came with no English to the state. It took me a year to learn English. Not perfect, but I was able to communicate somehow. And then going to college was very, very challenging. And a domestic student will study an article for 2 times, but I had to do it 10 times. So how much hard work it takes to get where you want.
Yeah, I remember meeting you, and like many people, but particularly immigrants, you were balancing so many responsibilities. I mean, working full time, going to school, working on Suitcase Stories, helping tutor people back in Afghanistan. And also, as many of our clients, you were saving money to pay for your brothers to go to school. How many siblings do you support in Afghanistan?
So I have 4 brothers, 3 sisters. My older sister is married, and my other siblings are younger than me, so all of them. I support them financially and emotionally because things in Afghanistan are getting really bad and they are losing hope, and they are telling me, if I get education, will I get anywhere? I said, I'm the example. I had all these issues, all those problems, but look, I got my degree and I'm working. I have like a better life. You will get there. So I'm supporting my siblings financially and emotionally.
But I also know it's hard because you haven't seen your family for how many years now?
5 years.
5 years, and it will be, with everything now, we have no idea, right?
I have no idea when I'm going to see them, and my mom really missed me. she missed me a lot, and she says, when you want to come? I'm like, you can see me. I'm very thankful of technology. That's really, and she can see me, and she sees me that I'm doing good and I'm okay. But she really missed me, and I cannot promise her when I'm going to see. And the hard part is when, God forbid, anything happens to your family, you don't know if you can make it or not.
Right.
And when you're super responsible in this case, and love your family a lot, it's really, really makes hard for you to just take that out of your mind. What if something happens? But I'm trying to not think about that and keep going and supporting.
We have one more question, unless somebody else has another one to throw in. What was the most different thing in the American culture that you had to adjust to?
Wow, a lot of things. But the funny things, I will say the funny ones, because having pets and food. having pets were like so mind-blowing to me. I have host family that she hosted me, and they have a dog. In Afghanistan, all dogs are wild dogs, so you don't have pets. But if you have some, that's you're keeping it for security outdoor, not indoor. So my mom has like really nice big dog. Her name is Maddie, and she is a black lab, and she's big. And when I get to her room, she is barking, running at me. I'm like, oh my God, now she's gonna bite me. And my mom is like, no, my host mom is like, no, she's fine. I'm like, please hide me. So she had to stand in front of me to take care of the dog, because the dog was so happy to see me, and I thought she's gonna bite me. Later on, we became really good friends. When I was learning English, she was the only one listening to my English.
Can you talk about something that has been beneficial as an immigrant that you found, maybe something that you've brought to your community, your friends from your own culture?
Oh yeah, of course. A lot of things, but one of the important things, how DC Afghan women, like when I came to my school in Southern New Hampshire University, they were thinking women from Afghanistan came, they were ready to fight back, as I thought I'm an animal. But when I went, I was a very normal person. I was motivated, I was loved by my family and all those things. But whatever they learned was from social media and stereotyping. So when they saw me, how I was loving my family, how I was so care about my family, about my studies, how I'm behaving, all those things, they had no idea. Mm-hmm. So I showed the human face of Afghanistan, not like a social media face of Afghanistan. And that was one of the things that I brought to university and really, really opened people's eyes.
That's great. Sorry, I seem to have fallen off the screen, and I'm back. I guess we have one more question, and it's who inspired you to be a storyteller?
At the time, storytelling starts from like our childhood. My grandfather was one of them. Later on, different experience. I experienced some bad experience in America. Mm-hmm. And some bad experience in Afghanistan. For example, when I was in the airport, I had to go to St. Louis, Missouri, and I had my headscarf on. Of course, I don't have it on because of that reason. I had my headscarf on, and I had to wait for like 2 hours in the line just for no reason. And I was keep asking, I'm gonna lose my flight. What's going on? Can you please tell me what is the reason that I'm stopped? And coming back from St. Louis to New Hampshire, I just, for an experiment, I just took off my scarf to see how people will behave, especially in the airport. Mm-hmm. Took me 5 minutes to go through security. Mm. So those were the things that I wanted to share with people, that we have to be careful. I'm not covering my mind, I'm covering my head. It's just culture. You know, some people do cover, some people do not. It doesn't make me a different person, or less of Muslim or more Muslim. So those are the things that I wanted to share, and one of the reasons that I'm saying the stories.
Well, I hope you continue to tell stories. You know, I like working with you on them and getting them out there. And I want to thank all the storytellers. We've had over 200 people bravely get up like Mahboba and share their lives with others. And we're always looking for new people. If you're interested in telling a suitcase story, we talk about how everyone has one. You're like, well, I don't know if I do. If you live in a multicultural community, or you have connected with someone in another country, or your family has a heritage, or you've had an interesting cross-cultural experience, we consider all of those suitcase stories. In fact, I just did a TED Talk that you can look up on TEDx Natick about this subject. We encourage you to watch. And we also hope you come back and watch more of these. We'll be doing these on a regular basis throughout this time, where we're here for each other and trying to connect from our homes. And finally, I just want to thank everyone who has supported the International Institute. If you want more content like this, you can go to suitcasestories.org. We have a new program called The Circle, and that's where you can access additional content, more videos, even at-home activities, like a conversation guide about how to talk about suitcase stories in your own home, over dinner. So Mahboba, thank you for being with us. We hope all of us see each other soon. So
thank you so much. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity, and it's always wonderful seeing you. And thank you so much for everyone else to attend this. And I'm so honored. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Have a good day, everybody. Good luck.